now, romance fraud is on the rise and has cost UK victims more than £66 million during lockdown. That's extraordinary.
Unbelievable. And one of the 7,000 British victims is former police officer Anne Larkin, who was targeted by criminals on social media. Now, she'd lost her husband, and Anne says fraudsters took advantage of her grief.
Joining us now is Anne Larkin and consumer expert Harry Wallop. Thank you, both of you, for joining us. And when you look back at this moment in your life, I mean, you know, to lose your husband like you did, but then to suffer this afterwards, how do you feel now? I mean, you're doing lots of... I know you're doing media interviews and you're talking about it more. How does it make you feel at this point when you look back?
It makes me feel angry at myself, at being able to be duped by these people.
So one of them you met on a sort of photography site. It wasn't even like a sort of dating situation, was it? It was, it was through this. So did that perhaps make you feel more like it was genuine? What were the sort of, you know, as part of this warning to others, what were the sort of things that made you feel like it was genuine?
It was because they was talking about my photography. Other photographers that use this site, we talk about each other's images, how we got a particular shot, what camera equipment we used, whether they use natural lighting or flash photography, just normal photography things.
So it's a very clever way of drawing you into thinking they were genuinely interested. So when did money come in? Because when you look at £500,000, I'm sure someone said, could you lend me £500,000? You'd have never said yes, would you? So how did the money gradually seep into this, or the quest for it?
I can't give a specific time. Only thing I can say is it was over probably about 5, 6, 7 weeks.
The thing that really I get alarmed by is that this happened the first time with a guy claiming to be a soldier, an army soldier, and I can imagine you sort of think, oh, it's quite heroic, genuine, you sort of generate a friendship. Now, that happened once, but then months later, you fell for a second scam. How did that even happen? Having been scammed the first time around, surely you'd be on your guard a little bit more, but no, but they manipulated again.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. When you're going through grief of a loved one, especially of a husband, wife, or partner in that sense, the grief is completely different. And it turns your world completely upside down.
Yeah. Oh, I can feel for you.
It was easy in that sense.
No, carry on.
Carry on, Anne.
It was easy in that sense for them to manipulate me that way. And I never even, with both of them, never even thought or hinted in my head that I was being scammed.
So when did you realise? Did you realise at the same time that you've been scammed twice? Or did you, you know, when did you discover it? Because that must have been a horrifying moment too.
It was when I was asked to sell my house and my car around Christmas time, that last year, that my brain was functioning correctly. And it said, something's not quite right here. And I didn't answer the message.
Presumably you were also very added to the problems and the believability, the fact that you're in lockdown and perhaps very lonely. It's the sort of thing you might have discussed with family members or friends, and they would have said, hang on a minute. But you're in that isolated bubble, craving, you know, some support in your life.
Yeah, when they contacted me was when I would have been talking with my husband Graham, which was the evening or at weekends. During the day, you can have to behave as normal. When you're out doing your shopping, you see people every day, and people that know you come and ask you how you're doing. So you put this brave face on that everything's okay, nothing's wrong.
Oh, wow. And I'm feeling angry for you now. It's just absolutely despicable what has happened to you. Let's speak to Harry Wallop. Harry, so many of us spend our time online on the obvious big social media apps or photography websites or whatever, and And we would like to think we're all being cautious. We are being careful. Is there any way to protect ourselves from people like this? I mean, this seems to be a really clever case of real manipulation over a long period of time. It's so difficult to identify whether these people are genuine or real friends, because after all, it is online.
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, I think, Anne is very, very brave to share her story. And it's important that we hear this story because it is, though it's unusual, it's not completely unheard of. There is an awful lot of romance scam. I mean, you talked, Adil, a few moments ago about it being sort of £68 million over the last year has been scammed out of people. It's now bigger than online shopping fraud. It is a huge and growing industry. And the scammers are very, very clever at being manipulative and finding vulnerable people. They actively seek out widows or widowers, and they spend a lot of time and a lot of energy in gaining their trust and their confidence. And only then, many weeks later, does the first mention of, could you possibly send me some money? It's an emergency. And that, of course, that is when the alarm bell should start ringing.
So you're saying there's no circumstance where if somebody asks you for money online, you just got to question it, haven't you, really? You shouldn't really take any of it legitimately?
Well, this is the problem. They've gained your trust by this point. You think that they are a friend, but, and lockdown has made it more difficult. There are a few red flags. I mean, the sending of the money, the asking for money, saying it's an emergency, I'll pay you back, that should be a big alarm bell. The other one is asking to move the chat away from the original forum you met them in. So nearly always these start on dating sites. And of course, Anne, it wasn't. Anne was on a sort of a hobby site. So again, she had an element of trust there. But they asked to say, can we move this to chat onto WhatsApp or by text? That makes it a lot easier for the scammers to hide their tracks. Again, that should be a warning sign. And then the third one is obviously if they say, oh, don't discuss me. Don't discuss me with your friends and family. Let's keep this a secret. And they want lots of personal information from you. They want, they tease out of you things like your date of birth, your family names, your pets' names, because some online dating scams are not just trying to steal money directly from you. They want to impersonate you in order to do an even more sophisticated fraud by impersonating you and then gaining access to your bank account. So that whole getting hold of personal information is another red flag. But a lot of people, if you're on a dating site, you think that's perfectly normal. So again, it's very hard.
Harry, thank you. And just a final word from you, people watching now who are maybe in these conversations with people online and not sure, what would be your just one message to them?
If you think that you could possibly be in this similar situation that I was in, talking to someone that is trying to coax you into giving money over, contact Action Fraud. The more information that we can give to Action Fraud, the more the police can actually get ahead of these fraudsters.
Okay.
Well, we're so sorry. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for the position. But you are being brave, as I said, by speaking out to help others. And hopefully things will improve in your life and you'll get to meet some nice people and go forward with a much happier thing. That would be very, very good. But lovely to talk to you this morning. And you, Harry, too, of course.